Okay, Leon, welcome to the Al Black Show.
Hey, Al, how are you?
Very good, mate, very good. Now, just for those of you that are watching on YouTube, it is Friday afternoon, so we will be having a beer. Cheers. Okay, now, before as we get started, just jumping up here. So for the benefit of people who are not watching YouTube, I'm now handing Leon some olive oil. Here you go. So you thought you were actually coming, to do an interview. You're not. I'm actually trying to grow my female audience on YouTube. So I just need you to take your top off, cover yourself in oil, and flex for the camera.
I was looking at that when we walked in. I'm like, do you know that you've got olive oil underneath the seat?
Just a little PT joke of mine. But yeah, all right. Now let's kick things off literally with a jump back in time to mini Leon. Like young Leon, exactly. And as far as sport goes, soccer was your early passion, I believe. Now, was there much of a decision there about footy or soccer or?
Well, I played soccer. I played cricket, and I played hockey. Cricket was more of the sport for me. That was the sport I got into when I was super young. I did martial arts too when I was young.
So
when
you say young?
When I was 5.
Yeah, right.
So I was at the time, it was a long time ago. This is 30 odd years ago. At the time, I was the youngest person to actually get into Taekwondo. Right. And that was actually for me the start of actually seeing structure. Like physical fitness and structure. Like I love Bruce Lee. I watched Bruce Lee movies when I was a kid. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I was lucky enough that my mum was able to get me some. They were called Bruce Lee fighting methods, and they were these small little books. And there was 4 of them, and that's where I learnt about physical fitness because it went through what Bruce did for his training. Yeah. And then I saw that. And
what were some of the training methods he was using?
Look, fairly basic stuff, but for at the time it was
groundbreaking.
Yeah. I mean, aerobic activity, like he ran every day, he skipped every day, he ran the bike every day. He did some form of physical, like punching the bag. Yeah. So that to me kind of, that gave me that first insight to structure, and to physical fitness. So, but then moving forward, into my early, 10, 11, 12s, I started with cricket, and cricket was my sport. I loved cricket.
Bowler, batter, like all round?
I actually did both. I was more a bowler to start with, but then, I found that I could bat a bit. So I did both. I was a bit of an all-rounder. So, I started with under 11s, and I gradually played up until I was about 20, 21.
Oh, right, that late, right.
Yeah. And then when I got into later on into primary school, I got into a bit of field hockey. Okay. Yeah. And then later on in high school, I got into a bit of soccer. I was a goalkeeper. Yeah. So through those sports and through their different disciplines, again, I got privy to see different types of training techniques and things like that as well. And that kind of, you remember those things.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That kind of fostered me for later on down the track into
what you do now.
Actually, yeah, exactly right.
And you did all right in those sports.
I'd say I was pretty good. The best thing I was at was cricket for sure. Yeah. And the dream was always to play, hopefully state cricket, and then hopefully cricket for Australia, but that wasn't meant to be.
How far did you go?
I played grade cricket. I played grade cricket for Perth Cricket Club. Yeah. And I was able to get up to 2nd grade. But yeah, that was about it for me. Unfortunately, I hurt my back while I was in high school, about when I was 14.
Playing cricket?
And I herniated 2 discs. And the back was never the same. But that, again, leads to the segue into the direction that I followed down. So, at the time, seeing orthopedic surgeons and they weren't too... it looked pretty bleak, right. And they were saying that I'd probably never get into playing cricket again because it's pretty bad for a 14-year-old to have 2 disc herniations, L3, L4, L5.
What was it? You just took a mad swing and it just off it went?
I fell. Yeah, innocuously, I just fell. I fell fielding, and my back was in agony, and
right.
had the X-rays done at the time, and the two disc herniations there. But I couldn't accept that,
sure.
and that's when I started to become immersed in, you know, books and reading about the body, learning about anatomy.
At 14?
At 14. So when I was in high school, and unfortunately I probably spent a little bit too much time when I should have been doing homework, but I was engrossed and, you know, learning about the body, learning about physical fitness.
Good for biology. Did you have a biology subject?
Yeah, look, human biology, you know, I loved, and, you know, I was all up in PE studies. So, you know, that was kind of my natural progression, and I did that all through high school. I started actually weight training when I was at that age, when I was around 13, 14, and I loved it. I loved the fact that it was something that I could do by myself. I dictated it, you know, no one else dictated it. It was my time, and it was, you know, even for me back then, I can see it in hindsight, it was a good way for me to just become one with myself. And, you know, at that time things are hectic, you know, as a kid, you know, you're going through high school and things are full on. At least I had that for me. And I was tall, you know, I was a tall, skinny kid.
Yeah.
You know, I was literally 6 foot by the time I was 13, and probably 60 kilos wringing wet. So, you know, my uncle just looked at me and he said, "Oh, Leon, you've got to start doing some weight training, start building yourself up a bit." And, you know, he showed me a few things in the old home gym, and just took it from there.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history,
yeah.
And so that was kind of like it was a pivotal moment for me, and giving me direction outside of high school, which because I really didn't know.
Yeah, eating more steaks just wasn't going to cut it. It had to be something else.
Eating more steaks wasn't going to cut it. I had to look for something more. So
that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, that's great. I mean, turning a negative into a positive, like fantastic. Yeah. So when you're finishing off school, you know, was that when you're in your 10, 11, 12? You know, were you thinking, fitness is that's the career path I want to take? Yeah.
So I finished year 12, and I actually got the PE Studies Award in high school.
Right.
So moving on through there, I decided to do my Cert 3 and 4 in health and fitness at TAFE, which back in those days only took a year. It wasn't this 6-week stuff, so it was 6 months for the Cert 3 and 6 months for the Cert 4.
So what do you think of that? Sorry, like the fact that, you know, 1 minute a course is a year, and all of a sudden you can knock it off in 6 weeks. It sounds a bit bullshit.
It is, and it kind of it cheapens. It cheapens the industry a lot.
Yeah.
Just to segue out of it, I remember when that first became a thing, and I think I was 25 or 26, and we'll get to this later. I just came back from Broome, and I couldn't believe, I was mystified as to how you could condense that amount of information into, you know, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the start of the rot, so to speak, and you had all these RTOs that somehow were able to do this, you know, and really giving out a false sense of hope for kids, you know, like, oh, you know, you can do the 6-week course and there'll be plenty of work out there for you. They had no idea about that, you know. To get off onto a tangent.
It's almost like when you're going out there looking for personal training, you say, like, did you get yours, you know, like recently with the 6-week course, or are you hanging out with someone old school?
It was, and I mean, and that's kind of how it got after that started. They were, you know, people a lot more savvy in terms of asking people, like, well, you know, what kind of history do you have? Like, how much have you studied? You know, and you can generally tell by the age of the person. Just to segue, I'm not a massive
fan of the 6-week course.
The old 6 to 8 week course.
So you did that one. So you finished school. You did your Cert 3 or 4, and then what? You just headed straight out to be a PT?
So I did my Cert 3 4 at TAFE.
Yeah.
And that was a minimum entry requirement to go into sports science.
At uni.
I did sports science at ECU Joondalup. I did that for 2 years, and at the end of the second years, I was kind of becoming a little bit disillusioned in the actual degree itself, in terms of what I wanted out of it for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was getting itchy feet. I wanted to do a bit of travelling. So with my girlfriend at the time, we went up to Broome and I spent about 2.5 years in Broome.
What did you up there?
Running a bar at a backpackers.
Oh,
So
nice.
worked at the Divers Tavern for a while, and then I got
They're actually clients of mine.
Really?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
great tavern, like the tavern, and worked in the bottle shop there for a while, and then got the gig at the Kimberley Club.
Okay.
Backpackers. So look, great time of my life. Learned a lot about myself.
Can I ask, were you with your girlfriend the whole time?
No, I wasn't.
I was going to say, you can have a lot of fun as a single bloke up there.
We separated about 6 months in, and I actually came home.
Oh, okay.
And I came home, and I was home for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I wasn't ready to come back yet, so I went back there.
Where was she?
She was still in Broome.
Yeah, right.
She was still in Broome, and I had some good friends up there, so I went back up there. I couldn't find a job, and Nugget, the manager at the time, said, "We just don't have any positions here for you." And like, I was trying to find work, and
you got to love a bloke called Nugget.
Yeah,
he was a
great guy, Nugget. And I was just about to book my flight home, and then my ex-girlfriend said, "Oh, look, they're looking for someone to run the bar at the Kimberley Club." And the Kimberley Club at the time was owned by these people that also owned the Broome car rentals who she worked for.
Yeah.
And I rocked up, applied for the interview, and got the job, and the rest is history. Very interesting, because it involved a little bit more than just pouring drinks. Than pouring drinks. I had to, do basic cooking for people and things like that, which for me, so I was really a fish out of water, and I didn't really like the job after 4 to 6, like in the first 4 to 6 weeks, but after that, I loved it. It's probably one of the funnest jobs, if not the funnest job I've ever had, in terms of dealing with people who are on holiday, who are generally just so happy, and meeting people from all over the world, and
no cares, no responsibilities.
No cares, no responsibilities, and it was a great experience.
You must have a couple of funny stories from there.
Yes.
Any you could tell on the podcast?
There's a fair few funny stories. Look, we had like an alliance with a university from the United States.
Okay.
And that part of one of the subjects that you could do at this university is you came out to the outback, and so they'd come into Broome, and then from Broome they'd go off to a station a bit further inland, and they'd done their thing, and they'd come in, and they'd gone out to the station, I think, for about a week, and they'd come back, and they were all pretty excited, and they came back, and they were on the booze, and I remember this one kid, his name was Ricky, and somehow, the tartar lizards?
No.
So in Broome, they've got these little lizards, and they're called tartar lizards. And they're called tartar lizards because when you approach them, or when they're provoked, they prop up, and they put like their hand like that. Anyway, he grabbed this tartar lizard, and I still don't know how the hell he caught one.
Yeah.
And it must have bit his hand or scratched his hand or something, and he let it go. And I just remember at the time watching it, and I thought, I'll play a trick on this guy. And I go, Ricky, did that just bite you? He goes, yeah, it bit my hand. He goes, oh mate, they're poisonous. We're gonna have to rush you straight to hospital.
Yeah, right.
Quickly come, I'll get the keys, and I'll run you up to the hospital. This kid's freaking out, swearing, and like I pretended to, Ricky, I can't find the keys. I don't want to
Get the touring out.
Fuck, come on. And then I couldn't help it anymore. I said, mate, don't fuck around with Australia for it, mate.
Yes. That is gold. He would have been freaking. All right. So by this stage, you're a young single bloke. Why would you? Obviously, you left after a while. Why would a young single bloke want to leave something so much as so much fun as that?
Look, it was a great time of my life. Actually, funny story. I got the afternoon off work early, and I went down to Divers Tavern and had a drink, and. Old fella sat next to me, and he goes, hey mate, and he goes, and I went, hey, how you doing? And he goes, you from around here? And I said, look, I've been here a couple of years.
Yeah.
And he goes, I've lived here for the last 30 years. And I went, that's great. And I said, I was only supposed to be here for 6 months, but I came back, and I'm finding it great here. He goes, same thing with me. I was here for 6 months, supposed to be here for 6 months, and I've ended up being here for 30 years.
Right.
And look at me now.
Yeah.
and it kind of a light bulb went off.
Right.
And I had a look at him, and
But what did he mean by? Did he mean like, "Hey, I'm doing great," or I've kind of screwed it all up?
well, that was subjective,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it struck a nerve with me straight away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was like, "Wow, do I really want to still be here?
Do I want to be
You know,
this guy?"
Yeah, 5, 10, 15 years later. And I remember I put my drink down. I said, "Mate, you've just made me come to a very, very valuable decision." I said, "Thanks very much." And I went back to the backpackers and I told my boss that
Just like that?
Yeah, that I'll be leaving next week. And I left.
Wow.
And I left the week after. It was...
So if you hadn't gone for that beer, you could still be up there.
Well, who knows? I could still be doing something in Broome. But that was the thing. And in reflection, having that time in Broome, you know, obviously with, you know, the partying and the lifestyle, it really did give me that perspective to want to come back and really, really dive in, you know, head first into doing the personal training and myself living a more healthy lifestyle as well. So yeah, it was good. It was a extremely
good experience.
Extremely good experience.
So that's what you did then. So it was Perth you came back to, and you got straight back into PT, did you? Or?
I came back to Perth, and I actually hit up the guys back at Central TAFE.
Okay.
And the guys at Central TAFE were great. I had some great lecturers there. Must mention like John Potter, Sally Bauer, Sheree Measy. Those guys were really, really great. You know, they were very, very fundamental and to me, and very, very supportive to me, learning and getting through the course. So I just asked them if they had any. I was just after actually some.
Sorry, what course was that you were doing?
I did Cert 3 and 4 in gym instruction. So this was when I was from 17 to 18.
Yeah.
And I just hit them up for. I was just after a gym job, and they were like, "Oh, would you like to lecture? We need someone part time."
Yeah, right.
So I lectured some units in Cert 3 and Cert 4.
How did you find that? All of a sudden getting up in front of a bunch of people and.
That was a little bit nerve wracking. That was. Look, the first 2 or 3, I think were extremely stressful for me.
Yeah.
But after that, I loved it. I loved teaching, and you know, we had a really good mix of. It wasn't just all young kids. We had a lot of mature age people in there as well.
Yeah.
And I loved it. You know, I had about 5 to 7 working hours a week, which was great. Like
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, that was great. And then I did some PT in the gym. They let me train clients in the gym. Also did some PT outdoors. And at the time, which is pretty long time ago.
Yeah. So what year now are we? Like 1990?
What's that? 2002. I went up to Broome. Roughly 2005. I came back. So 2006, 2007.
Okay.
And that was the time when, like outdoor training was a lot of it was around Kings Park, and you know, it's $1 million houses. You know, very expensive area, and the rest. I remember when the shit hit the fan there, and you know, more and more PT was done there, more groups and more, you know, boot camps, and it kept getting earlier. You know, like. You know, I thought 6 o'clock was early, and then guys were down there at 5:30, and then down there at 5 to get there early, and then it just became too much, and the residents started to complain.
Yeah, right.
That kind of filtered out. But yeah, I'll go off on a tangent. But yeah, I did outdoor PT. I did PT at TAFE. I did the lecturing.
Yep.
And also threw my hand in the ring. I did a little bit of modelling when I came back as well.
Yeah, right. How'd you score that?
I literally just walked into Vivian's at the time.
Yeah.
And.
Started flexing.
I just said, look, I don't know how this all works.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd come in and ask a few questions, and they just said, look, we've got a deportment class next week. I mean, this is
a what?
A deportment class next week.
What's that?
It's basically me with all these young models, and they teach you how to walk, and they teach you how to present yourself and things like that when you go for castings and do jobs, and I was lucky enough just to hit the ground running in that. So my life was busy, like very, very busy when I came back, and it was interesting. I had different things, like I had the lecturing, I had the PT, I had the modelling. So life was
busy,
extremely busy, extremely interesting.
A lot of fun as well, I'd say.
Heaps of fun.
Heaps
of fun. So that was a good time. So I I did that for a while.
How do you find the modelling? Like, do you get many jobs? Is it like was there a bit of a party environment around that, or not so much, or hanging out with some of the other models?
Look, I took it for what it's worth. I never saw myself as a model, so to speak. I saw it as an opportunity. I saw it as a way of potentially networking with some people. Yeah.
Did you have a blue steel look and that sort of thing?
Oh no. I must admit, I must have been hard to work with. I did get quite a bit of work. And
why do you say that? Why would you be hard to work with?
Oh, look, deep down inside, some people have got it, some people don't.
Yeah.
They assured me that I had it, but pulling faces and things like that didn't really come naturally to me. To my credit, though, I did get better at it, and I did get a good volume of work.
Did you get some PT work out of it? Because
absolutely.
I was going to say it's an industry that's totally focused on looking good. So
yeah, absolutely, I got some PT work. I actually did some talks for Vivian's to some of the models,
right?
About exercise and healthy eating.
Oh, right, yes, very important.
So yeah, I did get some work out of it, but that kind of set me up for later on when I would compete in men's physique competitions.
Yeah.
That experience was vital for me, and having stage presence, which is something that a lot of the guys probably don't have. Like they're very good at the eating, the training, the discipline.
Yeah.
But then expressing themselves out on stage, they're not. And I must admit that from being in modelling for such a long period of time and being, presenting yourself in some weird and wonderful outfits and things like that, that really did put me in a good space to when years later.
It's a bit like acting, perhaps, like.
Yeah, you do put on a different persona.
Yeah.
And that was fun as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely a very, very fun time in my life. There were some amazing parties. But yeah, I saw it for what it was worth.
Yeah. Just a bit of fun and some extra cash.
Bit of fun, bit of extra cash. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So it was around this time, I'm guessing, that you launched your full-time PT career with Zenergy.
That's correct.
So are they a network, or they were a network, or
no?
One?
That was just an individual place.
Yeah.
So I was 27, and I was getting a little bit tired of running here, there, everywhere for work.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great for 3 years, but I kind of wanted a base.
Yeah.
And I really did want a full-time gig at TAFE. There wasn't anything going at the time. And just looking through Seek at the time, and the position came up as Energy, and it looked amazing. I remember just seeing what they wrote, and I'm like, wow, this looks like an amazing experience. And again, rocked up there and met Karen, and it all went well from there. And awesome facility, awesome concept.
So that's local to here? Is it like sort of East Frio?
Yeah, it was in East Frio.
Yeah.
Or Bigton. So just where Bigton Central is.
Yep.
So do you know where Jumbo Video is? Just above there.
Where Jumbo Video was?
Where Jumbo Video was.
It's 2019. There ain't no video shops around these days.
Still back in.
Living in the past, dude.
Yeah. But the fit out was amazing. Her systems were amazing, and it was really, I had very fond times of that time, and the community that we had in that gym, and it was all supervised. So if you were in there, you were with a PT. I mean, it was a little more expensive.
PT only, was it?
It was PT only.
Right. Yeah.
So it was PT 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, or we did group PT. Well, classes.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing fit out. Like no cost was spared on this place.
Right.
The best of the best, and we had a travelator. So do you remember the show Gladiators?
Yeah.
In the end, they had to run up the travelator after they'd done
I'd never really watched it, but
well, we literally had think of a treadmill.
Right.
That's set on an incline.
Yeah.
Yet we had about, I'd say, 6-7 meters long of it at a 45-degree angle. The thing was huge. It was amazing, and that came up the middle, and that was great. We used that in our group fitness classes.
Yeah. A few accidents on that, was it?
Amazingly none.
Yeah, right.
Amazingly zero. And we had 70-year-olds run up there, and that thing went up to 30 k's an hour. That was a supreme bit of gear, but
good thing to pull out at a party.
Oh well, yeah, geez,
I was 6 beers and jump on this. Yeah,
but yeah, that concept was well before its time. Well before F45.
Yeah,
and things like that. So it was a great place. Unfortunately, the business didn't work out, but yeah, it was an amazing experience, and again, I met some amazing people.
Yeah.
Learned a lot there, and I was there for the better part of 7 years.
Oh wow! Okay.
So yeah, a substantial chunk of my life.
And what you only left because it folded.
I only left because it closed down.
Yeah.
So segueing. Well, actually no. So before that closed down, I decided to do a men's physique comp.
Okay.
All through my life, I looked at the bodybuilders in the magazines, and it was always something that in high school I was reading the bodybuilding mags. I had people that I looked up to, and you read all the workouts.
Who were some of the people that you looked up to?
Oh, I think Arnie's definitely one of them, but I kind of gravitated towards the taller guys like the Lou Farinos, people like that where. I'd read about how they train because I was tall.
Yeah. So what are you? 6'4"?
I'm 6'4".
Yeah. Right.
So I'd kind of gravitate more towards those guys, or just people that I seen that I thought had a good work ethic. Like Dorian Yates was another one. I like Dorian Yates, but yeah, I was kind of resigned to the fact that I'm 6'4". It's pretty hard to fill out to do a bodybuilding comp, and then this whole men's physique thing came about.
So what's the difference between bodybuilding and men's physique?
Men's physique, you wear the board shorts, so you don't need to. And again, going back to that time, those guys weren't necessarily big. It was more about shape, symmetry, and conditioning.
Right.
And I thought to myself, you know what? I think I could do this. I think I'll give this a crack.
Yeah.
And in the last year, I didn't know it was the last year of Zenergy being open. I trained at Zenergy, after it shut, so I had this fantastic facility by myself to train in to get ready for this comp. And so as the plan was, so I didn't do my first one and embarrass myself in WA. The plan was I'd do this IFBB comp, which was called FitX. It's now the Arnold Classic.
IFBB, that's
International Federation of Bodybuilding.
Right. Yeah.
So I planned to do the FitX for a bit of a trial.
Right.
Wet my feet, see how I'd go, and then I was going to do the ICN. I forget what it was called back then. The I Compete Naturally comp.
Yeah.
After that.
Sorry. So that if I Compete Naturally, probably sounds like it is, as in there's no one's on the gear.
Yes.
But what about the other one?
That is a non-tested federation.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I thought, look, I'll go there. Didn't expect to win.
Yeah.
Did not expect to win. Look, putting myself forward, I wanted to win.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I trained to win and I prepared to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And you won.
And I did.
Yeah, right.
And luckily I did. There was there was 34 guys in the class, and at that time it was the biggest class for men's physique that they ever had, and I was lucky enough to win the novice class.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that time, that was my look was the kind of look that they were after. So I thought I might as well stay in this federation, and kind of all went from there after that. And
so you did a few in that federation.
I've only competed in the IFBB. So I had a first there.
Oh, so you've never done the
I've never done the ICN.
Yeah, right.
Never done the ICN.
But aren't you? Doesn't that mean that you're up against people that are on the gear?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So that must be a bit hard knowing that you don't do that and then.
Yeah.
Or do you?
No.
Do you get on it?
No, absolutely not. It is and it isn't. After that first time, I had the confidence to know that I could.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, why not?
Absolutely.
So I competed there. I competed 6 months later in the States, and I won my class.
Yeah.
I then went on to back to Melbourne. you won't be getting attention all the time. That didn't sit right with me. Like if someone was coming for training of any type, whether it be in a group or whether it be one-on-one, they should still they still should get a lot of attention, I mean, granted, even in 1 and 6, 1 and 8, if 2 or 3 people need you at once, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But at least it's not these, 1 to 30, 1 to 40 groups where the really motivated people at the front, the people that are new or embarrassed are at the back.
Yeah.
And those guys kind of flounder, or you might get one who's just a gun, and who will progress. Yeah. The whole Les Mills stuff never really gravitated towards me.
Right, yeah.
Because of that, lady or gentleman at the front screaming out on a mic,
yeah,
but never actually came off the platform. It's like, that never really did it for me.
It's not your thing. And just going back to the bodybuilding, actually, I was going to ask what the toughest part about competition, like bodybuilding competition, was for you. I mean, was it, obviously, it could have even been like covering yourself and all that brown stuff you had to, like, what is that stuff that
the tan's weird. Like the tanning aspect of it is quite strange. I think the toughest part of getting ready for a competition for me is the sacrifice in terms of your friendships and your relationships they suffer for it. Yeah. Because you are eating to a plan, and this kind of falls by the wayside, and I'm
for the benefit of those not watching YouTube, you just held up your beer. So how are you doing on that one? Actually, do you need another one?
No, I'm good. Yeah. So I do like a beer. I think for me that is the toughest part of preparing for a comp. It's the relationships and how that gets affected. Like I said, discipline for me is not a problem. Yeah. I can just shut myself off, and I just think of, the embarrassment of being backstage, and that's kind of a motivator. And I've seen that in many competitions of people, just thinking to themselves, what if I did do this, or what if I did do that? And that still plays in my mind every single time I get ready, is that I don't want to leave any cards on the table. Yeah. So that part of it's easy. It's the
lifestyle and the relationships. Yeah.
It's the lifestyle's cool. Like if I was a single person, and didn't have to deal with anyone, like I'd be a hermit. But that's not
what you want to do.
That's not my style.
No, I guess most people would, when they're working out, they soon find out they've got a favourite body part and maybe a least favourite body part. What are those items for you?
Obviously, because I'm in the board shorts, my legs would probably be the
you got the good pins, have you, mate?
No, the least. The least favourite body part to train would probably be the legs, which is, it's a good thing with me being in men's physique where the board shorts come down to the knees. My calves aren't too bad though, I must admit. But I think the favourite body part to train for me would probably be shoulders. I love training shoulders.
Right.
Shoulders are a favourite.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
So let's want to get onto some tips and tricks and some general rules. So let's say some of our audience are looking to get lean and tone up. I mean, summer's coming. We're not far away. What should they be doing in terms of diet, cardio, and the type of resistance training?
I think firstly you need a plan. Like I think one of the major things that I see with people that go into the gym is that they fail to plan. Right. So they come in, and that for them's the end of the story. I'm in the gym. So I think the first thing you need to look at is to get a plan. Now, for the most part, save yourself some time and get yourself a trainer. There's heaps of great trainers online or in person. Get yourself a trainer, or at the very least, get yourself a plan of something you read off the internet, or something like that.
And even then, most gyms, when you sign up, you'll get a free plan from a trainer, and you can have
100%. Yeah. 100%. But get yourself a plan. When you're in the gym, you can't go past compound movements. And compound movements are exercises that involve more than one joint. So things like rows and horizontal presses, vertical pulls, squats, lunges. They're the kind of exercises that burn more calories, recruit more muscle groups.
Right.
So they're the types of exercises you should be focusing your workouts around.
Yeah.
Cardio-wise, again, this is getting a little more specific in terms of what kind of plan you devise. If you are looking to turn up, you need to be in some form of calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Now, you can do this purely with food, or you can do this with like in a deficit of food.
This is where I fall down, I think. It's a tricky part.
Or you can do this with a combination of a deficit of food and a deficit of exercise and cardiovascular work.
Yeah.
I think it's good for everyone to do a little bit of cardio, just for heart health.
Yeah.
But again, that's very, very specific to what plan of attack you're going to run through. And I mean, there's all different types of cardio. You know, you've got your high intensity training, you've got your steady, slow state training.
Yeah.
So again, it's formulating a plan with your trainer about what works right for you, and also to keep yourself interested. And I think that's, above all else, I think that's one thing that people that's the one thing that kind of make people stop going to the gyms, that they rock up, and I see it all the time, and they do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you see Bill come in and he'll start at the chest press, and then he'll go to the leg press, and then he'll go to you know, and it's the same thing. 2 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10. It's mix it up, you know, mix it up. Again, it falls back to getting yourself a plan, getting yourself a PT, and
I was going to say,
your plan.
I was going to put my hand up there, sorry, and say guilty as charged, but I think these days I actually change my workouts according to what injuries I've got.
And you know, and that's another thing too, is that you'll find that, you know, the older that we get, that the more little niggles that we've got, and you've got to train smart. You've got to train around those things. If your back hurts when you squat or when you leg press, don't do it. Work around. Again, you know, contact a trainer and talk about it. You know, and talk about ways of either fixing it, you know, and also a physiotherapist and the other allied health people, and formulate a plan. Don't let it stop you. Don't use it as an excuse not to come in, because there's plenty of things you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I really hurt my back in a snowboarding accident in February, and it was like, you know, there was maybe, you know, it was really painful, you know, so for about 3 or 4 weeks I didn't come in, but then it was going back and totally modified what I was doing around that, you know, so definitely, you know, there's pretty much always something you can be doing.
Absolutely.
So, similar question, but let's say someone wants to bulk up a bit, or they want to, add a few more kgs to their overall weight.
Add a few more kgs. Again, I would advise for compound movements.
Yep.
So multi-joint movements. So again, they're the exercises that you could use more weight and they use more muscles. So the compound movements again. So the rows, the presses, the squats, the lunges, those type of exercises. And when bulking up, you need to be in a calorie surplus. So eating that little bit more food, not junk food.
Yep.
Again, I won't get into the particulars because there's a million different ways of skinning the cat. But again, you need to formulate a plan of finding out what your BMR and RMR is, and then eating in a surplus.
So BMR, is that like body mass index but with an R? Or?
Basal metabolic rate, and then resting metabolic rate. So finding out how many calories you need, like to start with BMR just to survive, and then taking into consideration other things like thermic effect of food, lifestyle, things like that. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, things like that. So finding your starting point with how many calories that you need, and then eating into a little bit of a surplus there to put on some muscle mass.
Yeah, right. So I mean, right now it's like mid-September, so we are like, I think a lot of people, we've had a few 30-degree days all of a sudden, or 28 plus, and or 33 it was the other day. And you can imagine people going, Jesus, it's a beach day, and I'm looking a bit, you know, like, so if they were looking to like shave off 5% body fat, or 5% body weight in like a short period of time, it just basically do more of what you've just spoke about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I never like people being desperate.
No.
But again, it comes down to the basics of just moving more and eating less. And that's really basically what it is.
Yeah.
And if you take a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, in terms of if you eat a little bit less and do a little bit more, that and the sum will put you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, what are some of your favourite workout myths that you've heard over the years? We could call this segment favourite, bro science classics.
Jeez, workout myths. Jeez, I've seen some pretty interesting things performed in the gym, and you've got to be very, very wary about approaching people these days.
Yeah,
because it's a very PC world we live in.
Yeah.
So when something a little bit dubious is performed, the methodology of approaching someone is like, it's quite an interesting way that you're doing that exercise. Have you ever thought about maybe doing it like this?
Yeah.
And then the replies, there's a multitude of replies, but it's like, the person that I follow on Instagram does it like this, or, I know what I'm doing, or things like that. And, we live in a world now where there is so many ways of seeing people do exercise, and there's a lot of platforms for people to use.
Yeah,
some of it's great, and
some of it's bullshit,
and some of it's not so great.
I've seen a guy online, Scott Herman.
Scott Herman,
yeah. I think he's pretty good.
He's one of the original. He is one of the original people on YouTube.
Yeah,
huge following. And his stuff's really good.
It is, I mean, he calls bullshit out, on quite a few others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you've got to. There's definitely the unrealistic and the unattainable. And I think a lot of those guys who do that they're trying to not set people up for failure, because it is unrealistic. And then you've got people saying that they're natural when they're clearly not natural.
Yeah.
And that's where people like that, see it, that it's up to them to say, it's ridiculous looking, being 7% body fat a year. It is ridiculous. And it's unattainable. And pictures are photoshopped. And people aren't as big as what they are on Instagram.
Exactly.
It's about being real. And Scott Herman, from what I've seen on YouTube, he's a real dude. It's what you see is what you get.
I mean, I approached someone in the gym a few months ago, and they had the kettlebells, and they were doing that one where you've got a kettlebell on your side, and you're going to one side with the bell, and then you're going to the other. You're sort of like, if you want, you're running your hand down your leg maybe and then up. But he was doing it with the kettlebell in each hand, and I was like, well, I say something, and eventually I went up to him and I'm like, hey, look, I'm not a personal trainer, but I'm actually not even very good at physics, but I'm just thinking, if you've got one in each hand, just try it with just the one, and the minute you did it, he's gone, right, and I'm like...
I think saying that, I think the worst thing I see in the gym is people pick up a pair of dumbbells and do the external rotation.
Yeah, right.
I think that's one of, if not the worst thing I see in the gym. Is people picking up a pair of dumbbells, thinking they're doing some external rotation, but the thing is, gravity is going straight down. So they're working their forearms, they're working their biceps, not really working the rotator cuff muscle that's supposed to target. So that's probably, for me, the worst thing that I do see in the gym.
But there'd be a bit of powders and this stuff you get if you buy this stuff. It's gonna
the chat by the squares there in the gym. The pre-workout chat and the protein powder chat. It's always quite interesting. You eavesdrop and people giving other people advice, and it is quite interesting. It is quite interesting what you hear.
No, with any industry, there's always trends. What are some of the trends that you think are pretty cool that are happening at the moment in the whole fitness game?
Trends, I think right now we're moving towards personal training starting to become a little bit more savvy in the sense of people are starting to look for trainers who not, because back in the old days, but it just used to be like what it used to look like. That guy looks great, I'll train with him because he looks great. That person that looks great probably knows how to make themselves look great,
yeah,
but probably doesn't know, basic principles and how to convey them to other people.
Or they could be on some full-on nutritional program that,
the special supplements, and you're none the wiser. So I think people now are a lot more savvy in terms of looking for people when they want training that know their stuff.
Yeah.
You've got some people out there. My mate, you remember Richie? Richie Collins. He's one of them. He's got physique code. People like that. He's got himself a little PT studio there in Myrie, and I feel that is hopefully the way personal training is going to go. So in terms of more little spaces, because it's more affordable for the PT, and there's some quality results coming out of these. I mean, Richie's got oodles of champions coming out of his gym. So that's definitely a trend that I'm seeing. Just little setups. Yeah. With PTs that know their stuff and implement them to their clients. So that's definitely something that's happening more and more and more now. It used to happen in the old days. Like in the old days, we had, I think the first ones were Renouf, and they were full on, hardcore gyms, but the people knew their stuff. They not only looked great, but they knew their stuffs as well. But I think these days you are starting to get more and more people, and the consumers becoming a little bit more savvy.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what do you reckon are some of the main reasons, and you must see this all the time, why people have the best intentions when they start a fitness program, especially around like New Year's, you got all the New Year's resolutions, but then after a few weeks or months, it's gone. What do you think are the main reasons that
why that happens?
Yeah.
Again, a failure to plan.
Yeah, right.
So,
and maybe goal setting.
Absolutely.
Or
a lack of goal setting, having unrealistic goals. But again, it all revolves around a failure to plan.
Yeah.
Having realistic goals as well.
Yeah.
I think that's important, and I really, really do think, and I can't stress this enough, that you should just bite the bullet and talk to a PT.
Yeah.
PTs charge all different types of amounts, but really it's like, what price do you put on your health and leaving it for another year or another year or another year or another year.
And you can always grab a mate and do a group session with 1 or 2 mates.
And I'm finding that more and more now, like getting approached by 2 or 3 girls or 2 or 3 guys and coming in, and they'll have a chat to me as a group.
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable doing it as a group, and the costs are a little bit lower that way. Yeah. So, but I think that the most important thing is to get a plan.
Yeah.
With kind of pull yourself out of having to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
I think because it can become a little bit overwhelming.
It's like you do enough of that in your life outside the gym, like with your job, and your kids and household, and
that's the thing, and it's like it just becomes all way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been at this game for a while now. What do you find are some of the more challenging aspects of the role?
Challenging aspects of the role. I think. Look.
Do you maybe get people?
Still the hours. I think the hours are quite. The hours are long.
Yeah.
And I must admit, if you have 2 big days, because you do splits, you can feel tired sometimes.
It's like hospitality.
Absolutely.
Split shifts, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is like it is similar to hospitality. Sometimes conveying concepts to people can be quite challenging in terms of getting things across, and one of the main ones is that you can eat more food. I think people, especially females, kind of have this distorted picture of that they have to eat so little amounts of food to get results. But that's the most challenging. Probably the most challenging thing is conveying an idea, and then for that person to then take that idea on board. Especially too when you're dealing with people who are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, who have done
These over the hill types.
Well, I've done this for years, and it's like, well, you have done that for years, and look where it's gotten you.
Yeah.
Like you're here.
Yeah.
Like maybe take the leap and try this and see what happens. Like, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, conversely, like, what were some of the best parts of the role? Because I reckon there'd be heaps. Like.
There are heaps.
Yeah.
I think the relationships that I've developed with my clients has been amazing, and I've grown a lot from those relationships. Like I train people from all walks of life, and seeing people grow and succeed and change. Yes, that's pretty amazing.
And hit their goals and surpass them and set new ones and just keep bettering themselves, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely right. And then surpassing that. Like I've got people that I've trained for. You know, the ladies in the morning, that's the better part.
I know the ladies in the morning,
That's the better part of 12 years now.
Wow.
So, that's amazing. I think that's amazing. So, I love it. I love the relationships that I've built.
Yeah, nice one. So, we're almost at the end, Leon, already. So, is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to make mention of? Anything that you've done or anything you just wanted to get across to people? Or?
I think in terms of health, fitness, training, whatever. I think what helps is if you do take an active interest in trying to learn yourself. Now, it's one thing for a trainer to tell you to do something. Some people are quite good at that, but to just take it. But I think that if you should do a little bit of research yourself. Test your trainer. I read X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, wow, and I actually really like that. I read this article, I read that article. Sometimes you go, oh my god, that person, Jesus, like I'm referring
not that website again.
Yeah. But again, conversely, it keeps me on my toes, and it keeps the trainer that you're working with on their toes, and making sure that I stay updated in what's happening. But I think for the consumer. Look into a few things. Try to get your own knowledge base up.
Yeah.
But I think that the main thing that I want to get across, if you really want to change, is contact a personal trainer and devise a plan.
Yeah.
And devise a plan. That is, you are basically making a straight line towards success if you're doing that. If you do things yourself, you'll be all over the place. If there's one thing that I'd like to get across is, do yourself a favour, contact a personal trainer, sit down and have a chat about what you want to achieve.
And maybe not one that's only done a 6-week course.
And maybe not one that's only done a 6-week course.
Or maybe they've done a 6-week course, but then they've gone on and done more and more learnings and all the rest of it.
And that's the thing, sometimes, way back when, you had people who had been in the industry for 20 odd years who did the 6-week course because they had to do the 6-week course for legalities. So sometimes, it's not always, the pimple faced 17-year-old with the 6-week course that pops up. And
and you got to watch, because there'll be some older ones who might have done the course 20 years ago and then haven't bothered to pick up a book or read an article since, and they're just
absolutely,
100%.
So
like you said, it's good to test them and just have an interactive relationship.
Have an interactive relationship and don't go in there as the stun mullet, so to speak. Do a little bit of research for yourself.
Okay, cool. All right, well, because it is the Al Black Show, I like to finish off every show with the favourite party story of my guests. So, is there something that I'm sure a man like yourself would have quite a few? Something you're happy to speak about on the show?
Well, there was a lot of crazy times when I was in Broome. One particular day, there was obviously in Broome they've got the Broome Cup, the horse racing when it's on.
It's in August, I believe.
It is indeed.
Yeah, just ran.
And having a great time out at the races, and a guy that I used to work with, Rocker, an older mate of mine, we're having a great time.
Is he a mate of Nuggets?
He knew Nugget. He did know Nugget. We're having a great time and left the racetrack. Ended up in a house somewhere, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up on a couch in a massive factory unit.
What?
I'm butt naked.
In a factory?
In a factory unit. And I've woken up on a couch, it's completely empty.
Yeah,
I don't have my phone, I don't have my keys, I don't have my wallet.
You haven't got your clothes by the sounds of it.
I don't have my clothes, I've literally got nothing.
Is it not like daylight, night time?
It's morning now.
Right.
Yeah, so
the last thing you remember is leaving the track. Jesus.
So it's the best party story that I can't remember.
Yeah,
that was interesting trying to get out of that one in the morning.
So you don't remember? Oh, it would have been. So you don't remember?
I don't remember a thing. I remember leaving the track with Rock, and we're going, yeah, we're gonna go to this guy's house, and that's it.
Yeah, right.
And
you weren't a bit sore in any places, were you? You're walking a bit funny.
You check yourself, but and no one knows. Like I asked everybody.
Kidding.
Rocker didn't know. Nobody knows what happened.
Jesus.
Luckily, my clothes were at the front reception of this factory unit.
That is bizarre.
God only knows what happened.
So the moral of the story is just check yourself before you wreck yourself. If you're going to Broome.
I think the moral of the story is leave the party to people that know how to party. And my place is in the gym, I think.
Sounds like a plan, mate. All right. Well, thank you so much for
thanks for having me on
the show. Cheers.
It's been excellent. Thank you very much.